game, everyone. This is Rich Ramon, and you're listening to Still Toking With. Yeah.
Greetings, my friend. This is the brain of TV's Pinky in the Brain. Yes, and my human avatar, Maurice LaMarche.
Hi, it's Chris Poland, and you're listening to Still Toking With.
Hey, this is Eric Roland, voice of Kendo Rappa on My Hero Academia, and host of the Tough Love Podcast. You're listening to Still Toking With on the Dorkening Podcast Network.
My crew is ready to obtain the absolution, removing any doubt that we was ever fooling.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another kick-ass episode of Still Toking With.
It's actually on a Wednesday.
There's the voice in my fucking head again. Wow. Anyways, yes, it is a Wednesday. And I even put that in the notes as I shared it out today that, hey, we're back on our regular fucking night for a change. But yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about tonight's episode. We have a returning guest, which we don't generally do, but this is something that's been worldwide now for way too many years. But we're going to get into all that. With us, as always, the flashy one himself, Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North America, and all the ships at sea. That might have been funny if I could have gotten it out of my mouth. Hey,
what the fuck was that?
I thought you liked to keep it in your mouth.
Like Maxwell House coffee, it's good to the last drop. So,
oh my God.
I'm very excited. I wasn't part of this show the first time our guest was on, but the story here is so compelling, and I don't in any way mean to trivialize this, but I am, for pleasure, a huge murder mystery fan. And this story, if it had been a fictional story and published, would have made a great book. But it's real. It's again, no jokes, no lack of respect, deadly serious. And I'm just still looking forward to talking with our guest. But I'm not going to say anything else and introduce the third part of this wonderful, crazy triangle, who I love a lot, Jeff Holman.
Have it in. We're back on Wednesday. Yay. I'm loving it. Yay. I'm loving it. Yeah, no, it's this story has intrigued me. I watched the miniseries, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit. Most fucked up thing I've seen actually in a long time. And I mean, I've come across a lot of weirdo women out there, but what the fuck? I mean, seriously. But let's just bring him right in, Mr. Russ Faria.
Hi there. How you doing?
You're looking good there, buddy.
That was easy. He's like, hey, how are you?
Right? I'm here. Thanks for having me on again, guys.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your busy life and your busy schedule to come back. You know, we had you on 3 years ago.
Wow, has it been that long?
Yeah, it was season 3 that you first came on to talk about your story, which for all our new viewers and our new listeners, if you don't know the story of Russ Faria, in 2011, Russ returned home to find his wife deceased. We're going to leave it at that for right this second. He originally had thought that maybe she had taken her life because she was battling cancer, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
You know, through a whole bunch of bullshit and manipulations and things, he was arrested, convicted of her murder, and sentenced to prison, where he spent almost 3 fucking years, man. 3 years. And then was exonerated, and the story just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger from
and weirder
that.
and weirder and weirder too.
Right. You know, so I don't want to just be the one talking all night here, guys. Somebody jump in. Fucking seriously.
You did a great job with the intro. I mean,
I know.
when I first heard about this, and it was actually even before we had you on the show,
Right.
we watched the miniseries, The Thing About Pam. And for our viewers and listeners out there, if you haven't seen it, it must be still available out there somewhere.
Oh God, yeah.
I think it's on Peacock.
Okay, on Peacock.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind bending. And like Mr. Mark said, I mean, if I didn't know that this was a true story, what a hell of a writer. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, the twists, the turns, and just the amazing bullshit that went into this whole case and this whole story. It's just, I mean, I don't even know how somebody could pull something like that off or even want to. It's just insane.
Right.
A lot more to her than just this, too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And yeah. And, we're speaking of Pam Hupp, who has she been formally charged?
She has, yes. We're expecting a trial August of 2026.
Okay, so
I'm gonna stop right there. Okay, so folks, this started in 2011. 2011. This gentleman was convicted, sentenced, put in prison, exonerated because they knew it was this other woman. And now her trial's in 2026. What the fuck is wrong with our judicial system?
It moves very slowly.
Dude, I have shits that have moved faster than that.
Oh, yeah.
But Russ, it moved a lot faster when you were the person of contention. Why is it taking so long for this to come around again?
Well, I got lucky. I've been out 10 years this year. So my 10-year anniversary was in June.
Yay. Congrats.
Right? And I was in for 3.5 years. But in all likelihood, the average time for an appeal in the state of Missouri, and I think pretty much across America, is about 10 years. If anybody knows the Ryan Ferguson story, he was locked up for 10 years for what he didn't do. I got lucky and kind of got a fast track because of the publicity of my case. And I think the appeals court was really looking for a reason to kick it back. And I got out on what was a Mooney motion, which basically states that new evidence has arisen since the original trial that may have changed the outcome of said trial. And so they kicked it back really fast for me, and I got lucky and got out when I did. Otherwise, I could still be behind bars. In this particular case with Pam, anybody that knows the story or has been keeping up with it, after I got out, she tried to kill somebody else and was not successful. That person got out of her car, fortunately. I'm not going to tip our hand yet, and tell who that person was. But and then about a week later after that, and that was just the anniversary of that, just this past week, she shot a young man named Euless Gumpenberger, and she was consequently convicted of that. She took an Alford plea and is currently serving life without plus 30 years. Shortly after she got that conviction was when Mike Wood brought up the charges with being the new prosecutor in Lincoln County, brought up the charges that she's currently facing, but he wants to make sure everything is being done right. He's still investigating this and getting new leads all the time.
Right.
And that's why we see some of the news that you guys have heard recently about some of the, one of the dirty cops finally being charged.
Right. Which is something that we're going to get into, as we get into the show. So if you don't mind, I do have, like I said at the beginning, I have a few videos queued. Do you mind if I play the 911 call with the actual operator interview? Just to give our fans and our viewers just a little bit about what you walked into. A little bit of a backstory. So I'm just going to play this real quick. It's about 2 minutes long, folks. Just have a watch.
Russ Faria began by sobbing.
What is the
the address where you need us to come.
130 C-Mac.
Former 911 operator Tammy Vaughn picked up the call.
My wife killed herself. She's on the floor.
She immediately knew it might be her toughest.
I could hardly take the call because I looked over at my supervisor and I did one of those, I don't know if I can do this.
Oh my God.
Okay, just take a couple deep breaths for me.
She continued the entire 10-minute call. She did what she says she's trained to do, get Faria to answer questions about his dead wife, Betsy.
Russell, how long were you gone today?
I left around 5. I just got back. But she was at her mom's and her friend was bringing her home, so I don't know what time she got home.
In court, a 911 supervisor testified it was unusual the way Faria went in and out of hysteria. The defense objected, but the judge overruled it. And the jury was led to believe that even 911 operators thought the call was odd. But the prosecution never called the operator who took the call, Tammy Vaughn, who says she never questioned it.
You can't fake that. You can't fake that emotion. In my personal opinion, you can't. Are there people out there that can do it? I don't know, because all the calls that I've taken have been true hysterical callers.
Vaughn says 911 operators are expected to get hysterical callers to answer questions.
It's a redirection. It's a technique that communicators use to try to redirect, calm them down, ask them the question, and then whenever they have to focus back on the victim or the patient or the person that's needing the help, then they do what's called a refreak.
It happened repeatedly on the Faria call.
Has she been depressed lately?
She's got cancer.
I need you to get those medications for the paramedics, okay?
I think they're here on the table.
Then, in another twist, Vaughn discovered something the following week.
I later on learned that I knew them. At the time that I took the call, I had no idea who it was. And then later on, I realized that, it was, a couple that I went to church with.
She can now see them standing side by side in her mind, and she cannot forget one particular phrase she heard during Russ Faria's call.
What am I gonna do?
What am I gonna do? When she heard that, she thought she might not last, but she held on with him until police arrived.
Right.
Wow. I still get fucking chills, and I think he froze.
No, he pixelated.
His camera went pixelated.
I'm here.
There he is. He's back.
I'm just smoking some weed.
That pixelation, folks, was a visit from the beyond. Let's leave it there. Here we are in 2025, Russ. This was back in 2011. How do you start to put this behind you if new things keep developing every day?
Well, it's not a matter of really putting it behind you, because it's always going to be there. It's a life experience, and you can't bury your memories at all. But you can move on and move forward and be a positive person. You could be bitter, but that's going to really make you miserable for your entire life, and there's really no reason for that. I kind of feel driven to make other people aware. One, to get justice for what happened, for the injustice, for my wife, for myself, and everything. But to also make others aware. Because just like you alluded to earlier, what's going on with our judicial system? Well, if people don't know what's going on with our judicial system, it'll never get fixed. You were talking earlier off air about your car with an alternator. If you didn't know you had a bad alternator, then you could never fix it. And then something else is going to go bad on down the line. Right. Our system needs to be fixed, but people need to be aware of some of the problems that are going on with it. Because I'm not the only case. I'm just one of the most famous ones.
True.
For our friends and fans who are watching and listening, I'm going to play the innocent because in a way I am. I haven't read your book, and I wasn't part of the show the last time you were on. How if you could summarize a little bit, what was the perfect storm here? How was it that this person was able, with probably some outside help, to frame you and make all this bad stuff happen? And why? Have you ever found out why?
I've never found out why. The why is, I guess, the question that she's the only person that can answer, and she's not talking about it. But it was kind of a perfect storm. I mean, you had this person, evil person, and Pam Hupp, evil calculating person. She wasn't stupid. She had a plan. However, you also had a combination of a prosecutor that was corrupted, unethical, immoral, and a handful of other things. A judge who got elected because she passed out cookies. That's the truth. And a bunch of crooked cops, all together in one situation. And that said, that was a perfect storm, for perfect recipe for what happened to me.
Were they just trying to like expedite this thing along? I mean, it doesn't make sense as to why you would have crooked judges, crooked cops, and they wouldn't do their jobs properly. I mean, that's what boggles me a little bit, because it's not as if Pam was paying them off to be, tell lies or anything like that. There's just a lot of weird things to this story that don't make sense.
Pam got $150,000 life insurance policy. We don't know what happened to all that money.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, that wasn't even brought up in the trial, was it?
No, it wasn't allowed.
Why wouldn't, I mean, that's motive. So who wouldn't allow that? Because that policy was what, 4 days before the murder?
Right. And the judge wouldn't allow my attorney, Joel Schwartz, to present what they call a side defense, which is basically stands for some other dude did it. Right. So he wasn't able to get into that at all.
Well, that's not good justice.
No. And unfortunately, like I said, the judge and the prosecutor, they went to high school together, so they obviously knew one another, and they'd been seeing, well, they're friends. So, I mean, she was giving the prosecutor her way. Now, originally, I had a different judge that was retiring. That's why my trial got actually delayed by a year, because the prosecutor dropped and refiled my charges so that I would go back to the back of the line for trials, and her friend would be a judge because she was already elected. But the original judge I had was Judge Dildine. And if we had gone to trial with him, he didn't put up with any bullshit. And he wouldn't put up with the prosecutor's bullshit or anybody's bullshit. So I think we probably wouldn't be having this conversation had that occurred.
Russ, do you think it was they wanted a conviction, they wanted to make themselves look good, therefore they were not interested in justice, they were interested in conviction? Because supposedly the public prosecutor is there for justice, and if they smell that there's something wrong with the case, if they have any kind of ethics or morals, they will question it. So in this case, was it they just didn't give a shit? They just wanted to get the conviction and look good? Is that what you think happened?
I think the prosecutor wanted to get a conviction. I mean, it was a big, highly publicized case. So she wanted to make a name for herself, being a young prosecutor at the time. That being, and the person that she is, which is not a good person, right? And she actually did what prosecutors aren't supposed to do and took active part in the investigation, directing the detectives. She was having an affair with one of them,
Ooh.
And yeah.
Oh, yeah. The plot thickens.
Yep. Wow.
And yeah, it just goes on and on with her. And then you have numerous cops that probably this wasn't their first time doing corrupt and, dishonest actions. So you got these immoral, crooked cops that are, a blemish on good cops everywhere. And there's a lot more good ones than there are bad ones. I'm not against law enforcement at all. I have a lot of friends in law enforcement. But in this case, I had several of them that it's like a gang, right? They're all going to stick together.
Right.
Wow. Now, was there planted evidence in the home as well that they used at the trial?
I don't believe there was planted evidence, but there was evidence that one of the officers reported seeing droplets in a shower when there weren't any. There was nothing to back that up. There was the officer that's currently charged with perjury that lied about 132 pictures that showed a trail of blood and evidence of a cleanup and whatnot when the pictures did exist. So there wasn't actually planted evidence. There was just lies about evidence that wasn't there.
Edited evidence. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Because I remember reading something about the slippers in the closet.
Right. The slippers in the closet, they had blood on them.
Yep.
And they were thrown into the closet. And we weren't able to present it properly in the first trial, but in the second trial, we had our experts prove that they were basically somebody picked them up and dipped them in the blood and then threw them in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, anybody in their right mind would have gotten rid of them. That,
right.
To me, is just obvious setup. Just that one thing is it's an obvious setup, because I don't care how dumb anybody is, they're not going to put bloody slippers in the closet if they actually did that.
Right.
That makes no sense.
Right, especially if you're doing a cleanup per se.
Right. Well, exactly. And there was no cleanup.
No, there wasn't.
Just wasn't.
There was
no.
And the pictures showed that.
Right.
Russ, have you been given or have you sought professional emotional help to deal with all of this? Because you've said, and I agree with you, you can't just sort of sit in the problem. You got to move forward with your life. But have you gotten some help to deal with all of this? Because you seem to be calm and collected and are able to discuss this fairly dispassionately. Did you get help?
No, actually. I attribute my strong will and everything. Everybody always asks me how I gotten through what I've gotten through and say that, I could never be that strong and whatnot. And I'm like, well, nobody really plans on going through what I went through, but you adapt and overcome. But in my particular case, I've always had a really good Christian upbringing from the time I was very little. And so I have a strong faith in God, and I read the Bible almost daily. I go over to my mom's every day in the morning for coffee before work, and we read the Bible, just a chapter or so, but we get a little bit of God's word, and that, I think, helps you get through almost anything. I've always been taught that all the answers are in there. You just got to find them.
Right.
What was your church there for you?
Some of the members of the church were. The church particularly, no.
And now?
Well, now I'm an ordained minister. And
now it's your church.
Right.
And, I try and, help others find their way when they're lost, and I get an opportunity to do that, quite often.
God bless you, Russ.
Right. So I'm gonna jump forward just a little bit here. To touch on Jeffrey Mark's question, you're not walking this walk alone now. You've met somebody that actually was involved in this case. So you guys are kind of walking this together, correct?
Oh, yes.
And
we alluded to this a little bit earlier, but the person that Pam Hupp tried to kill.
At that time, her name was Carol McAfee, correct? And now she is Miss Faria. But I do have a video clip. I have a video clip of Carol's door, her ring cam from that day. Do you mind if we play that real quick?
No, go right ahead.
Check this out, folks.
I sat there and I listened to Tim Wilmer tell me his version of how he thinks I was supposed to die that day. Talk about leaving you numb from the neck down. It's hard. You know, you make jokes about it, whatnot, but you sit and you think about, she was really going to kill me.
August 10th, 2016. Carol Alford was on the porch with her dog when Pam Hupp drove by. It was captured on this surveillance video.
She waved. I was like, okay, waved. Thought maybe she was new in the neighborhood, and she drove down the street, came back, and she just pulled up behind my driveway, and she just sat there and she was just staring at me.
Alford remembers bizarre questions, starting with, do you babysit? And ending with an offer to make $1,000 if she'd go with Pam to do a 911 segment for the show Dateline.
If I help her, I can't bring my keys, my cigarettes, my cell phone, or my wallet because the producer does not like clutter.
Alford took her dog inside and grabbed 2 knives.
So I put a folding pocket knife up this sleeve and a kitchen knife in the front because I'm getting ready to get into a stranger's car that I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, is up to something illegal.
Alford did not even have shoes on when she got in Hupp's car.
Yeah, I was this close to her, rubbing elbows. I had the one hand in my pocket, like on the handle, because if I had to, I was coming out this way with it.
As Hupp talked about where they'd be shooting the news segment, Alford's gut told her the knives were not enough protection.
So I'm thinking to myself right about now, best excuse I can come up with to get out of this car. We get to about here, and that's when I told her that, I got to go back and get some shoes, lock my door because of my husband's dog, whatever. Right here is where she turned around at and took me back to my house. She started to get out of her car, and as she leaned forward, she looked up and kind of leaned back in her car. She's like, you have cameras on your house. And I'm like, not only do I have cameras on my house, but I know how to dial 911, and I have a knife in my pocket. Have a good day.
6 days later, Hupp found someone else, Louis Gumpenberger. Prosecutors say Hupp drove him to her home, called 911 while Gumpenberger read a script they believe Hupp gave him, then shot him to death. Police found...
I didn't want to go too much into the Lewis thing. But that just kind of gives you folks an idea of how twisted this woman's mind really was at setting up Russ. I mean, have you forgiven her?
Oh, I fight with that one.
I mean, I would too, but that's why I asked, because I mean, I was brought up similar to you, and I believe in my faith in things work out the way they're supposed to, but I don't think I would be able to forgive somebody for that.
That's a hard one. Yeah, it's.
I'm going to throw my 2 cents in on this one because, yeah, it's the right move is to try and forgive.
I think he froze on us.
The brutality, of this murder,
So.
I could not forgive.
No, and just so
Are we still
everybody
here?
knows. Yep,
we're still
you're
here.
still here. Just so everybody knows, we have a hurricane coming up the East Coast. It's kind of playing a little bit of havoc with our signals tonight. So if we freeze, we apologize, but we will continue as we are. Back, Jeff, go ahead. Would you reiterate? Because I think Russ is back now.
No, as far as
I'm here.
forgiveness, as far as the forgiveness part of it, I mean, I was brought up to try and forgive. The problem I have was the brutality of this murder. I mean, it was just so over the top. I could never forgive the brutality of it. It's one thing to kill somebody; it's one thing to do it in that manner.
Right. And for our
Yes.
viewers and our listeners that don't know the story, Betsy was stabbed, I believe, 55 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that the brutality was of such an extreme was to make it look like a crime of passion, which tells you how warped this fucking woman's mind is. But at the same time, I have to agree with Jeff and say that I wouldn't be able to forgive that part of it, first of all. But then after you're exonerated and you're out, now she's trying to fucking set you up again.
Right.
By first trying to abduct Carol and then, later actually following through with Lewis. On a positive note, real quick, sorry, Jeffrey.
Well,
on a positive note, Carol and you have become Mr. and Mrs. Sense because of this, which is, I think, a blessing in itself. So, congratulations.
It's what I call the fairy tale happy ending.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Jeffrey. Go ahead.
I'm going back to an earlier question that we can't answer, but I have to say it again. One would think even an insane person. So see, I'm struggling with is this stupid person evil or crazy or both? But to twice try to pin a crime against nature twice on Russ. Is it that she's in love with you or she feels you've done her wrong in some way? Or is this just crazy person stuff?
Well, I don't know that she's crazy. She's more of a sociopath.
Okay.
Yeah,
Some people call her a psychopath, but I've talked to
psycho. Psycho.
Some people call her psycho, but I've actually talked to some professionals, and they said no, she's actually a sociopath. So that's the way I picture it. Then I'm like, okay, well, this person knows, they're educated in that field. I'll take their word for it.
But as
Fucked
far
up, no
as
matter how you look at it,
as far as your being the
she is
center of the
nothing but a narcissistic bitch that believes her own fucking lies. She believes her own lies so much that she thought she was going to get away with it. She is not a sociopath. She is not a psychopath. She is just fucking ridiculously retarded.
And that, folks, is the infamous Carol.
That's her.
We love her. She is awesome. Well, we love you too, but she is just, she puts the whipped cream on top of the cake there for you, you know?
And you know what? I think that anger is healthy. I really do. I think that's healthy.
Oh, yeah,
She's
absolutely.
able to say that out loud in public, and good for her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for like I said before, to our viewers and our listeners, you've got to understand that this started with Russ. He was exonerated. It came back to Russ, but she dragged this innocent young lady into it, which now that we know, was a blessing in disguise because it was the fairy tale happy ending that Russ, said. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. So,
has obviously, there's been new developments and stuff like that. How many people have actually?
Oh, there's been quite a few in the last 3 years.
Yeah. So, let's talk about how many people have been arrested and or lost their jobs over this. I mean, is the prosecutor still a prosecutor?
And he is frozen again. So
that's a great question, Jeff, because when these kinds of tragedies happen, sometimes we just have to take a step back and look.
He's back
to find the justice.
I'm back.
He's back.
There you go.
All right.
Yes. I don't know if you heard my question or not, but who has lost their jobs, has been arrested for not doing their jobs or what have you, For example, is the prosecutor still a prosecutor?
Well, there are several people that haven't lost their jobs that probably need to. They're some of the dirty cops, but I think that the current prosecutor is going that way. Currently, Mike Merkel had.
It's that. You'd think that he would have at least fed the squirrels so they could have ran a little bit faster in the cage out there tonight.
It's the gremlins, man.
Right? Well, like I said before, we are experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties due to the storms that we're having on the East Coast.
I'm back.
I'm sure
He's back.
He's back.
I'm back.
Yeah.
So
you were saying, Russ, that the current prosecutor, it's kind of where we lost you.
Is right. So the current prosecutor is Mike Wood, and he is starting to charge some of the dirty cops that were involved in my case. Mike Merkel and his wife Becky have both been charged in stalking. They were stalking basically an internal affairs investigator type guy that was investigating them over my case. So that tied that. And now most recently, Mike Merkel himself has been charged with 2 counts, because there were 2 trials, 2 counts of felony perjury, each carry up 10 years.
Right.
And he has lost his job, and he is currently on an ankle bracelet and out on a $50,000 cash only bond. And most recently, within the last few days, he named one Leah Cheney to his defense team.
wow. Now, how can he do that? That's a conflict of interest. Because for the folks that don't know,
and
go ahead.
And I'm sure Mike Woods will get dismissed, on that basis. I think I don't know what they're thinking, really. Leah is not.
Do you think maybe Mike, because he knows the ship is sinking, he's going to bring everybody that was involved and he's going to name them to his defense team so that they'll all be in the courthouse at the same time and can get arrested?
Well, I think he's going to, at some point.
Damn, right when the show gets interesting.
It's almost like it's done on purpose.
Right. He'll be back in a second, folks. While we wait for him to pop back, I'm going to play another quick video here of Mike Merkel being basically walked the walk of shame.
Well, the stakes have just been raised in a case known around the world, made infamous by Pam Hupp. A former sheriff's captain accused of lying in the original murder investigation of Betsy Faria was taken into custody today. Fox Files investigator Chris Hayes was in court for the defendant's tense bond hearing.
Former Lincoln County Sheriff's Captain Mike Merkel was taken into custody after a hearing in which he pleaded not guilty and had his bond set at $50,000 cash only. He walked the same path the now exonerated Russ Faria walked more than a decade ago when he was wrongfully convicted. Now free, Faria was there to see it.
He attacked me directly.
Faria spent 3.5 years in prison for the murder of his former wife, Betsy Faria, before a judge exonerated him. Now the infamous Pam Hupp is charged with Betsy's murder.
I think it's important that justice be served and that the dirty cops and the people that are supposed to be serving us be brought to light so that this doesn't happen to others.
Lincoln County prosecutor Mike Wood charged former Sheriff's Captain Mike Merkel with perjury for allegedly lying about crime scene photos Merkel claimed did not exist. They were discovered later and helped clear Russ Faria. Defense attorney Joel Schwartz discovered the hidden photos and showed up to defendant Merkel's bond hearing.
One, I wanted to support Russ, And two, it's a big step in the administration of justice, and I just need to see justice is done in this case.
It was tense in the courtroom, especially when the defense lawyer tried to call it a victimless crime. The assistant prosecutor jumped out of his shoes, pointed to Russ Faria in the front, and said, "Do you want to ask Faria if this is a victimless crime?"
I'm here to tell you that I spent 3.5 years, 3 years, 5 months, and 11 days. The anniversary is coming up on June the 15th.
Merkel's defense attorney, Joel Eisenstein, called the perjury case laughable.
We'll go to trial and we'll see what happens.
Lincoln County prosecutor Mike Wood said it's only the beginning of his corruption investigation.
Things are continuing to move forward on that front. Still a fluid situation, but there's a lot of leads that we're continuing to follow.
Defendant Merkel did not spend much time in custody, as his attorney said he brought with him a $50,000 cashier's check to bond out. He'll have to wear an ankle monitor at least until his next court date in August. For the Fox Files, I'm Chris Hayes.
Wow.
How did he know to bring a $50,000 cashier's check? What information was he given ahead of the
Where
arrest?
the fuck did he get the 50,000?
And by the way,
That I don't know.
Your police department are enormously well fed. Good.
Funny you say that, because he used to be a lot smaller. He really was. He was like probably 40 or 50 pounds smaller. And like this year, I've kind of gotten a little bit more healthy. You know, I'm turned 55, and so started changing my diet, and I've lost about 40 or so pounds. I think he found it. But if you look in that video, he's wearing a blue shirt and khaki pants. I think he works at Culver's getting in free Boderburgers.
Yeah, well,
that weight gain is what happens when you're full of shit.
Right?
There you go. There you go. You know, well, one can hope that he put on that weight so that his new boyfriend has some cushion.
I think, being loving, healthy men that we are, that when he goes to prison, we should each send him a soap on the rope.
Oh no, I was thinking about
but file through the ropes at the
cut the rope.
First time he's in the shower, down it goes, down he goes, and the playground is open for business.
Hey, listen, I mean, the bottom line is he tried to fuck you. So, hey, one good turn deserves another.
I agree. You know,
and
prison isn't good for somebody like him.
No, and hopefully he's just the top in the start of the food chain.
Right.
That's what my hope is, and I think that's what Mike Wood's direction is that to get him to squeal on some of the others and possibly get to Leah herself. And that's why I think he's going to be able to get her dismissed, because there's a possibility she could be prosecuted.
Right. Right.
And what about the judge who mistakenly sent you to prison? Is that person still a judge?
No, she was voted out in the next election shortly after I was exonerated, the same election where Leah was voted out and Mike Wood was voted in. So she's no longer a judge. I'm not even sure what she's doing right now.
She's back to selling cookies.
Probably.
So I'm curious about something, because I mean, one of the quote new things that that came out to get you exonerated was those photos. Okay, where were the fucking photos? And who hid the photos?
They were in the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor had them. And just a few weeks before my second trial, Joel received a package from the prosecutor's office that had a DVD with all of those pictures on it. Somebody there actually had a conscience. And there were a lot of people. Mike Wood worked in that office and left there during my case because he couldn't believe what was going on, and went and worked in St. Charles, but he vowed to come back. He did. But there were others that were there, I'm sure, that were good people. And somebody there sent that to my attorney.
Yeah, because suppressing evidence is a felony.
Right.
Well, and it should have been brought up way back at the beginning, because all crime scenes are photographed. Where the fuck are the photos? That's what I'd be asking.
Well,
So
the
that was
camera mysteriously malfunctioned, and the pictures didn't turn out.
Yeah. Oh, one of those. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
Russ, you've
Infinite-
written the
yeah.
book. Let's plug it for a second here. What's the name of your book, sir?
Well, the book is called Bone Deep, Untangling the Betsy Faria Murder Case. I didn't actually write it. I did collaborate on it with my attorney, Joel Schwartz, and author Charles Bosworth. And if you really want I think it's Left Wing Books.
Excellent. Yep. And you can find that in the show
It
notes.
is really the kind of unabridged story. If you watch the miniseries, they try and squeeze 10 years into 4 hours.
And it's Hollywood.
And it's Hollywood. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there that didn't really happen the way that they portrayed it, but it was a good story.
It was
and
still
I
a
enjoyed
great
it
watch.
working with them on it. But if you want the unabridged story, get the book. Also,
Ding, 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 ding. And he's frozen again. You know? I will say this, now that, Mike Wood and Joel are, in the headlines again, maybe in 3 seasons from now, we can get Mike Wood on to talk about how
Here
he
we are.
unraveled. Oh, there you are.
right.
Right.
Also, as I was saying, I've been on 6 different Dateline episodes. I've probably got 1 or 2 more in me with Keith Morrison. That's a record. Previous record was 3. But so the story's out there, but I like people to be educated and read the book, but get out there and educate yourself about prosecutorial immunity and things like that, because that gives prosecutors carte blanche, makes them above the law. They can do anything they want to you, me, or anybody. And that's one of the things I do is give back. I try and educate folks.
Right.
You got to
Russ,
change that law or get rid of it.
Yes, absolutely. I'll bet our fans and friends out there who are watching and listening, and hello out there, nice to see you, would want to ask, when someone like you is falsely accused and then falsely imprisoned, and then it's proven it was false and you get out, is there any legal redress, like the government has to help you in any way or pay you any money or make what was wrong right in your case, or do they just go sorry and walk away from you?
It's pretty much sorry and walk away from it. In my case, there was a lot of wrongdoings and whatnot. So I had quite a large lawsuit that I won.
Yay!
So
yeah.
So they had to pay me a nice little hefty fee. Well, their insurance company did. So the county themselves didn't, and the individuals didn't. But still, it's put a blemish on Lincoln County in Missouri, and the people that are there now, some of the people like Mike Wood, the new sheriff is Rick Harrell. They're good guys, and they're trying to make some of that right because of my story. Corruption didn't start there when that happened. It had been going on for a while. So, I mean, they're 2 guys and they're trying to clean it up, and I give kudos to them. I went and helped Rick Harrell get reelected and went to a benefit for him and stuff because, I believe in what they're doing. Like I said, I got a lot of friends in law enforcement, and, to add, we were talking about the dirty cop that got charged, but there were cops that were involved in my case that were lied to and basically sicked on me like a dog. And since we've talked the last time, I've got an apology from one.
Good.
His name was Ray Floyd. And he's actually working with the investigators with Mike Wood on my case now to, get some of these dirty cops off the street. He's trying to make it right. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate him for having the balls to come up to me or one of my friends in a bar and, offer an olive branch. And he fully thought I was going to punch him. And I didn't. I actually stuck my hand out and I thanked the man, and I still talk to him today.
Right. Now, with Mike Wood and in the rest of these gentlemen trying to unravel that part of corruption and that part of the web of your story, do you think that when they're successful, because we know they're going to be successful, it just takes one pin to drop, and it looks like they went after the weakest link. Do you think that once all that happens and justice is served on that aspect, and we know that Pam is going to trial this summer for the other aspect, do you think that will be able to close the Russ Faria story? Or do you think this is just something that's going to linger and linger and linger? Like, are you going to be 95 years old smoking a joint, sitting there doing a fucking interview with us? You're like, Cake 74, you know?
That's entirely possible with this particular story. I'm not surprised by anything anymore, you know, and it's been going on, as you said at the beginning, since 2011. So we're 14 years in now.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm hoping for the 95 because I'm older than he is. And that means I'll still be here to ask the questions. So yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Right.
Russ, can I ask a personal question?
Sure.
It's about your heart. What I find amazing about you, in a good way, in a nice way, you're not playing, you are a victim, but you're not playing the victim. And despite horrible violence and horrible treatment by the government and prison, how did you find a way to open up your heart and love another woman? Because that to me is that to me is the mark of your spirituality and the love in your heart. That despite all of that, you were able to open up, let someone in, and then give of yourself to another woman. So kudos, but how did you do that?
I don't know exactly how I did. I think there's power from above that happened there. I wasn't looking for love. And frankly, Carol wasn't. She was in the process of getting a divorce at the time. However, she got drug into this by Pam. And I see this person that she has no idea what she's involved in right now because she never really knew anything about the case at all. She might have seen it on the news a little bit, but she wasn't involved. And I was letting her know, oh no, you're going to be famous now, honey. Yeah. And so we became friends. And I've already been on TV a lot. Guess what? You're going to be too.
Your turn.
Right. She'll say she's not famous, but she's famous. And I love Ozzy. God rest his soul. Our relationship, I do analogies. So it's kind of like Ozzy. I'm Ozzy famous and she's Sharon famous. Sharon's famous. She's just not as famous as Ozzy.
Right.
So
I think unfortunately, this type of thing happens more often than most people even realize.
Yeah.
For some reason, yours became a spotlight. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I think it became a spotlight just to make the world know that this stuff does happen. But I think it happens more often than we think.
Right.
And I'm just thinking of what just happened up here in Massachusetts with Karen Reed.
Yes.
The Karen Reed trial. It's the similar kind of a situation.
Yes. I was following that very closely. And
with the dirty cops and everything that went wrong. You know what I mean? And even, in that whole thing, I'm not trying to take away from your story, but they're so similar. The thing that bothered me about Karen Reed trial was that the first jury was a hung jury.
Right.
But yet they tried her again. Isn't that double jeopardy? You can't do that, but yet they did. How do you think the judicial system got away with that? Because that whole case should have been thrown right out with a hung jury like that.
Well, yeah, I would think so too.
But they did it again.
Yeah, and that I think is kind of the travesty, and one of the things that's broken. They always find a loophole, some kind of way to get in and get what they want to do and get their agenda done. And it's not about an agenda or getting elected or advancing your career, whatever that career is in law enforcement or as an attorney or a judge. It's not about that. It's about serving the community. I mean, police are supposed to protect and serve. Prosecutors are supposed to serve justice on people with crimes against the community. And the judges are supposed to mediate all of that.
And be impartial.
Right.
Right. And neither, in your case nor Karen Reed's case did that exist.
Right.
No.
Right.
Which makes, which should make people very leery of trusting the entire judicial system in this country.
Unfortunately.
It's important to have a good lawyer. And if you ever find yourself in a situation, and I hope and pray that you don't, but if you ever do, don't ever say a word. Just say, I want my lawyer.
Right.
I told the truth from the beginning, and it was quite a while before I asked for a lawyer. And in retrospect, had I asked for a lawyer from the beginning, I may have been better off. I don't know, but that's what I would do if I had it to do over.
Right. Well, you didn't feel as though you needed a lawyer
at
the beginning because you knew you didn't do it. You know what I mean? And you didn't see you were grieving in your own way because of what happened, but you didn't see what was happening outside of that with them railroading the judicial system at you.
Right.
So, for our viewers and listeners, I mean, we're coming up on time, but definitely check the show notes up above or down below. All Russ's links are there. So there's links to our first interview with him, to the book, to multiple news outlets. This is one of those stories that you just, if you haven't heard the story or haven't heard any part of it, even if it was just the TV series that you might have caught, then you literally are living under a fucking rock somewhere, and, maybe you should stop chasing squirrels. Just saying.
So have you been approached by Breaking Glass to do a feature film?
No, I have not, but we are working with Lightbox on doing a documentary based on the book.
That's cool. Yeah, excellent. we know a few people over at Breaking Glass, and they do a really good job. They did the George Martorano story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the gentleman. I don't know if you're familiar with George Martorano, but he was the gentleman that was convicted and sentenced to life in prison on marijuana charges.
I remember hearing about that one. Yeah.
And of course, he's out now, but he was the only one ever convicted with a life sentence for fucking life.
That was here in Missouri, wasn't it?
Actually, it was in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I think it was.
Yeah, we don't want to give Missouri a bad name.
Well, no, there was a guy that was serving an exuberantly long sentence that was locked up when I was, and it was over marijuana. And it was like, I don't know if it was life, but it was exuberantly long for marijuana.
I think
and he got out.
Yeah, it was 30 years. And I remember that story because we had another gentleman on in our first season who's also from Missouri, but he was using cannabis for cancer. That was his story. But he mentioned that gentleman because we told him that, we had been talking. We started talking to you right at the end of our first season. But because of the NDAs and things like that with the TV series, we couldn't have you on as a guest. We had to wait till it aired. Then we grabbed. So we became friendly or acquaintances long before we had you on. And so that's that with the story, folks. And the story is going to keep evolving. It's going to keep changing. More and more things are going to keep coming out. If you want to stay up to date on it, all Russ's information is in the show notes. Follow his pages, follow him. But let's just quickly, because I know we're over time. Let's quickly jump to Russ Faria. What is Russ Faria doing these days? Because I think I saw a few clips of you spinning a wrench on a really nice bike.
Well, that's what I do. I manage a motorcycle shop and pretty much run the show. There's only a couple of us there, so it's not like a huge place, but I get to play with motorcycles. I get to play with other people's toys. So I call it one of the coolest jobs in the world. It's not really like going to work, right? So, and I get to work with some cool folks and, make a little bit of money on the side.
Give the shop a plug.
It's all lubed up cycles. We're located in St. Charles, Missouri, off of Highway 94.
There you go, folks. All lubed up. I mean, how could you not want to bring your toys there? Your motorcycles, folks. Your motorcycles.
We're getting some new shirts made that say, I like my bikes like I like my women. All lubed up.
Dykes.
I think you still have my address from the last shirt. So large.
All right.
I will fucking wear that. And I think Jeff takes a large, and Mr. Mark, I don't know. Would you wear that?
I'll wear anything that fits.
Ben, does it say all lubed up on it? Of course you wear it.
Yeah, but it says I like my women. We could cross the wall for you.
Like I like my bikes all lubed up.
Pick.
Oh, we love you and you know it.
I know.
Oh, Jesus. So
too funny.
Wow. Mr. Holman, do you have any less questions for this amazing guest?
Yeah, actually I do. So obviously you're still heavily involved, with the case. As it progresses further, because like we said, this could go on for a long time. Do you feel as though there'll be a time in your mind when you'll be like, you know what? I'm moving on with my life. This is behind me. Stop asking me fucking questions. I'm done.
Well, I hope not. I mean, eventually it'll die down, right? Once some of these trials are over with, especially the big one next summer. But, if there's an opportunity for me to expose some of the corruption and, like I said, prevent what happened to me from happening to somebody else, I feel, that's kind of my way of giving back for getting my life back in such a short period of time. Again, I could have been locked up still right now today.
Do you feel as though it's giving back, or I don't want you to take this the wrong way, or do you feel like something inside you just wants retribution for what they did to you and you want to see that happen?
Well, I want them to be punished for what they did to me, yes.
Okay.
But
rightfully so.
Many of the people that I know in law enforcement, some of them are retired law enforcement. One guy came up to me in the bar a couple of weeks ago and gave me a huge hug, because we hadn't seen each other in a while, and he saw some of the new developments in the news. And, every single one of them says they're just so embarrassed by what these others did, and what some of the new young cops and dirty cops out there are doing. And they're really proud of the fact that I can help put some of them away. Right. And I'm like, wow, it's kind of cool. I get to kind of, you know, be a superhero for them. They're calling me a hero, right? And I'm like, I'm just trying to do the right thing.
I think everybody that has seen the story, that has seen your interviews, because I've watched other interviews that you've done where you don't get to kick back, smoke a little weed, drop the F-bomb. You have, you know, it's national television. You are a hero because you're so humble, even though you were literally fucked. You were fucked with a cactus with no fucking lube.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the way that you present the story, present yourself, present your, you know, the passing of one wife and the new wife, it's just, you blow a lot of minds, man. Like, I don't even see an aura of hate around you, which is just fucking insane.
A different man would have started blowing people away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some probably would have, yeah.
Right.
But
or self-destructed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, and so
well, you got to smoke a lot of marijuana, right?
Well,
enough.
Still,
I have perhaps a different answer if I can make this my last question.
Absolutely. I was coming to you next.
Russ, you mentioned something earlier in the program. We kind of just let it slide away. I want to come back to it. So you're now an ordained minister.
Mm-hmm.
Are you attached to any specific denomination of Christianity?
No, I wanted to become a minister because I have a lot of friends that look to me for guidance, and I was a mentor for younger kids, you know, in my previous life before all this happened to me and that. And some of those kids are now adults. Well, all of them are now adults, but I'm still in contact with several of them. And, you know, I've watched them grow and build their families. And it's, you know, just really nice to be able to do that work. And now one of my close friends wants me to marry him and his fiance.
Are you attached to an actual church building, or are you a roving minister?
I'm what you would call a roving minister, yeah.
He plays with motorcycles. He doesn't want to sit still.
Hey, we had a wedding at our motorcycle shop once.
There you go.
That's cool. That's cool.
Nice.
And I assume, because Ben will tell us in a moment where to find you, that if there are people watching and listening who you've inspired because you are a hero, because you're a survivor, they'll be able to contact you if they want your ministry or they want your advice or help.
Sure. Go on to Russ Faria Q&A page. I monitor that, and so does my wife, and they could contact me.
Excellent. And thank you.
So I hear her in the background. So if she wants to come out for the closing of the show and, you know, maybe give a quick input, bring her out. She's already come out.
You want to come out here and say anything, babe?
On my way, hang on.
She's on her way. Hang on.
So we did the Aussie famous. Now we're going to do the Sharon famous.
And that's the thing. Right after the book came out, we did this really big event called Crime Con out in Vegas, and there were thousands of people there in this venue.
Oh,
he'll be back in a second.
Oh yeah.
By the time Jeffrey Mark probably finishes that sip of coffee, and, you know, maybe not.
In my China mug.
Yeah. Maybe he's
Are we here?
Yep.
There
you're
we
back. Now you're back.
All right.
See, I knew it. I told you he froze on purpose because he had to wait for the wife to come back. He didn't want to get in trouble.
Right. So we're at this event in Vegas, and like we get separated all the time because people are trying to crowd me and get my autograph and everything, get a picture or whatever. I'm like, well, if we get separated, we'll just yell for one another. I'll do my best Aussie voice and yell, Sharon! And she can yell, Aussie! And so that's
well done.
I love it. I love it. So do either one of you have a quick question for Carol?
Did you tell him best first date memory?
No, but you should.
You should. You can't hear them.
Oh,
Can't
that's
hear
right.
them. I don't
Put
need
that in
to
your
hear.
ear.
Hi, Captain. Hello.
Please tell us.
Hi.
So on our first date, we decided to go to the St. Louis Zoo because the prosecuting attorney told me, keep it off social media, keep it out of the public. So, I mean, what's crowded the most? People aren't going to pay attention to the zoo. We stopped at this little Starbucks inside the zoo. And I'm like, I don't want to put my name on this cup because I'm super paranoid. I don't know why I was. So we get up there for our coffee. I give them my name. And this man, what did you tell them to put on your cup?
Tom Petty.
You should have seen everybody look when they said coffee for Tom Petty. It was fucking hilarious.
And the funny thing was, Tom Petty was dead at the time, so that really made it awkward.
Right? Wow.
Oh my God, that's too funny. That's too funny.
Well, you're finding each other is a miracle.
It was.
Yes and no. I think it was divine intervention.
Right.
I was in a very, very, very toxic, abusive relationship and marriage for 20 years. And he had gone through what he went through. And I think God put stupid ass in my path because, one, he needed somebody that was smart enough to stop her. And two, he needed somebody to remind not just myself, but this guy right here, that we were both worthy and deserved to be loved.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Well
And, you
said.
know,
That-
I've actually learned a lot about the people that were in my circle because of this story. Like, I have a friend, when she saw my engagement ring, which is a very tiny diamond. I was working with SPED students at the time and didn't want a ring that I would have to take off to go to work. And she looked at me and she says, all the money he's got, and that's all he could buy you, psh, out. I've had a friend ask me several times why I haven't made him buy me a house. Psh, out. You find out who your friends are when you go through things like this. But I've said it once and I'll say it 100 times and I'll mean it with every bit of my heart and soul. Betsy is his wife and a special place in his heart. And she is always going to be. And I have to, and I do respect that. If she wasn't, I'd have to question his morals. And if I had a problem with it, I'd have to question my own.
Wow.
I am with him to the end on this. And if he died of a heart attack tomorrow, I would fight every day for the rest of my life to make sure his wife got justice.
Wow. So now, folks, there are two heroes.
People.
Two heroes on the screen.
I see another book in the future. Written
I
by
was
the
just going to
two of
say
you.
that quote that she had, that quote that almost made all of us teary-eyed, is going to be the back of the next book.
You know, I see deep bones.
I like that. And I'm not going to comment where my mind went with it.
Well, that's where he put it.
I like deep bones too, but another
Me
topic,
too.
Yeah. Well, see, I knew we had a lot in common, and I write books, so talk to me.
However, this will be your last podcast with my husband if he ever calls me a victim again, because I'm not a victim.
Oh, that's what
I'm a survivor.
Okay. That's yep.
No, you didn't hear.
Little Scumpenberger is the victim. Pam's mother is a victim. Betsy is a victim. All of their families are victims. I am not. I lived.
You're right. Yep. I will give her that one. Sorry, Russ. I got to give her that one because she probably could kick my ass anyway. So.
Oh, she could. She would.
He likes to tell people I'm mean just because I've knocked more people out and hit more people since we've been together than he has.
True story.
You put your hands on me or you get mouthy, I shut you up.
That's the third book.
Are you sure you're not from Brooklyn?
I was born in Aurora, Colorado.
No,
Pretty
I'm
close
from
to
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
That's how people are there. It was a compliment. My hometown.
Oh, crap.
I grew up in a little town called Fredericktown, and it's more Hoosier than anything.
So,
wow.
Y'all have a great evening. Peace. I'm out. Here,
Thank
take
you.
this.
Wow.
Oh, Russ, you done well.
Yeah.
Right?
You got a bullet there, I'll tell you. Wow.
Oh, yeah. So,
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we met her. We actually
You're
met
only
her.
saying that because I'm standing here.
I actually think we met her the first time we talked to you.
Yeah, we did.
Because you guys were dating at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I think you told us. You might not have told us on air, but I think we found out shortly thereafter that you guys were engaged because you were keeping it secret at that point.
Yeah.
But we are way over time. Russ wants to go eat his dinner. Mr. Jeffrey Mark has to pee. Mr. Holman has to eat his dinner. So
you got to take a crap.
No, I'm actually pretty good. I might have to dribble a little bit when I go upstairs, but I'll get up at 1 a.m. to pee. So that's, old age sucks. Deal with it.
Yep.
With that being said, where do you like to interact with, I guess, call them fans of your story or friends of your story on social media? Give yourself a plug.
That'd be on the Russ Faria Q&A Facebook page.
Okay.
I personally monitor that page. There's other pages about me out there, but that one is one that me and a couple members of my family monitor.
All right. Excellent. So you heard it there, folks, the Russ Faria Q&A page on Facebook, which, again, is in the show notes, along with links to his book.
Yes,
Buy the book. I have the book. Mr. Holman has the book. I've read some of it, but I prefer to sit down and talk to Mr. Faria about it. Knowledge, folks, knowledge. So, Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
Russ, this has been an honor. Truly, truly, truly an honor. Thank you so much. You can find me, Jeffrey Mark, as it's spelled down there on Facebook, Jeffrey Mark Showbiz on Instagram, Mr. Jeffrey Mark on LinkedIn. And, if you enjoy our banter here, we have another show Ben and I do that Jeff loves, because everything we do, his love is there with us. Jeffrey Mark plays Ella, available to be seen and heard on the very same networks and stations and platforms or wherever you're watching and listening to this. So tune into that every week. And I love doing the show. We get to talk with the most interesting people in the world, and I get to hang out with two people I love very much, Ben and Jeff. Jeff Holman, you're on.
BillToking.com. Toking with the Dead on Facebook. Russ, it's been a pleasure. This story just, my wife's reading the book and she's like, I can't believe this. Unfortunately, she couldn't watch the show because she's out with her mom, I think, but she's going to rewatch this later. It is so intriguing. And everybody out there, again, buy the book. You've got to know what the hell is going on here because it may save you someday.
Right. And I didn't miss the button. There's only 4 pictures this week, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. Well, but like I said, go to stilltoken.com. All our shit's there. You can find us anywhere. If you Google us, we take up pages.
Right. I think there might only be one person that takes up more pages than us if you Google their name, and that's Russ.
Probably.
I think he's got like 6 pages that I looked through today, and I was like, motherfucker's got more than us.
It's always about size. Good heavens.
It's.
Well, I Googled me, and I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
What do you mean 8 1/4? It's 8 1/2.
Oh, his IQ's bigger than that. Come on.
But in all seriousness, folks, I want to thank Russ for coming on again tonight, giving us an update on what's happening in the case. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know what's wrong with the judicial system because 14 years since this has started. 14 years. That's a long time, man. That's a long time. That's a lot of taxpayer dollars going out the window. Of course, thanks to Jeff and Jeffrey as always. But to all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do so people like us can come up here and do things like this that we like to do. So stay safe. We'll see you next week. We're out.
Have a happy.
Thanks, guys.